if you want to hear any lore whatsoever, make sure you're in the Discord, because once a week I ask a lore question, and the first person to get the question right gets to pick lore for the week. This week it was Mr. Tom Flood, and he chose the quest from Fallout 3, The Power of Atom. Now, the quest, The Power of Atom, I said earlier in the show, is probably one of my favorite quests. Not because it's a great quest, not because it's even, like, anything that... I mean, it has real consequence, but, like, not that it's not... I don't know, there's just something special about it. Something that just introduces you to the world of, like, these are the politics of the world. This is how... here is someone who is trying to be very lawful, trying to help people, trying to show people that there is some humanity left in this wasteland. And then there's this guy who's just like, yeah, I don't like it, get rid of it. And I feel like that really sets it up. I've been thinking a lot about the atmosphere of Fallout 3 lately, and how it's just desolate and lonely. I've been thinking about that a lot, actually. And it's really representative in this quest in many ways. So Sheriff Lucas Sims wants the nuke in the middle of the town to be disarmed, which is a reasonable thing to want. Here's a giant warhead from 200 years ago that never went off, but is still very much active. He offers you 100 caps to do this, but you could talk him up with a speech check to 500. Now, Mr. Burke, by way of Alistair Tenpenny, wants to blow up the town of Megaton. I don't remember the exact wording. I didn't read the quote, and it's been a while since I've actually heard Tenpenny talk about it, but I believe he calls it like a blemish, or he doesn't have anything nice to say about Megaton. He says it's ruining his view of the wasteland from atop of Tenpenny Tower. So you can find Mr. Burke in Moriarty Saloon, again in Megaton. And Megaton is just, I want to just say this real quick, Megaton is one of these cities in a Fallout game that makes me look at cities differently. Like, there's the airport in Fallout 4 that the Brotherhood takes over, and there's McCarran in New Vegas. But, like, I don't feel like we've really seen a lived-in airport, if this makes any sense. Like, I want to see an airport where, like, this section is taken up by these people, this section is taken up by these people, and it's kind of like its own homogenous thing. Not just this is a military base that connects the Strip to McCarran. Or here's where the Brotherhood is, and, like, you get the seats that are cool. Like, I want to see a real, like, baseball stadiums, any sort of stadium, any sort of large gathering place. Because of the Fallout games, I'd look at differently. And Megaton falls under that of just this ramshackled garbage that became a community. Now, inside of Moriarty Saloon, where you find Mr. Burke, Burke will come to you with the proposition of saying, hey, I don't want this town here anymore. My boss doesn't want this town here anymore. He thinks it's an eyesore. He thinks it's a blight on the wasteland. So I'm going to give you 500 caps. Take this device. It's a pulse charge, I believe. I have it written down. Take this pulse charge and put it in the nuke. We'll get to a safe distance. You come meet me at my boss's house, my house, everything. And then you detonate it, and then I'll give you some money. You can talk him up to 1,000 caps, or you can use the Black Widow perk, which I'll get into a little bit towards the end. But also, you can negate, like, this entire quest by just walking up to the bomb if you have 25 explosives and going, cool, it's deactivated. And then you can just go to Lucas Sims and it's over. Now, if you choose to rig the bomb, it takes a 25 explosive check, and Burke gives you a fusion pulse charge. You could also use Mentads and a Raider Blast helmet to up your explosives if you don't have them high. I don't have it written down, but there is like a mini side quest that you can go to the water purifying plant and find a stash of drugs. And it's like, I didn't know this was a thing, like, whatsoever. I've played this game so much. I've done this quest so many times. Did not know this was, like, an actual thing you can do. You can find the stash of drugs, take the Mentads, and then, like, it opens up I don't know if it's a mark quest. I honestly didn't really look into it because I thought it was so minor. I didn't even write it down. But it's like an unmarked maybe or side quest that's just like, this guy has a drug problem. You can confront him about it. Now, if you warn, there's a complete option where you could warn Lucas Sims and say to him, hey, I'm going to go blow up your town, and he turns hostile, so does Deputy Weld and everybody else in the town. What's fun about this is that in the Japanese version of the game, this doesn't exist whatsoever. Mr. Burke does not exist in the Japanese copy, and I really want to get my hands on a Japanese copy. I don't know if it's like the cover is in Japanese, but just to have that, I think would be really tight. Anyway, you either deactivate the bomb in town or you leave it alone. You don't get to play with it. Like, you don't get to do the quest whatsoever, which is understandable given the history of Japan. And I mean, I know that's why they don't have mini nuke launchers. They have nuka launchers, which is supposed to be like the Nuka-Colas. Now, once you rig the bomb, you can meet Mr. Burke. You can meet Mr. Burke and Tenpenny on the balcony where he tells you about the little show that's about to take place. He even gives you the privilege of detonating the bomb. If you do this, goddamn, why is my nose and mouth and lip itchy?
Drugs.
If you do this, it instantly gives you negative 1,000 karma, and it's the lowest your karma rating can be in the entire game. Now, this I didn't know either. I had no clue whatsoever this was even remotely possible. If you start this quest, if you go through the act of putting the charge inside of the nuke, and you go back to Tenpenny to blow it up, but before that, you go see Roy Phillips, the ghoul outside who wants to get in, and you allow him into the building. When you go to the top to see Tenpenny, you'll see him and Burke having a conversation. I had no clue this happens. And Burke will intimidate Roy Phillips, and he'll tell him about his plan to blow up Megaton. And Roy Phillips is like, yeah, they don't need to be there either. And then you can still blow up Megaton, and then Burke and Roy Phillips develop a partnership together. I had no clue this was a thing. I had no clue whatsoever this was a thing. And I've played this game how much? And I feel like if we knew this when we played Fallout D&D and like we did kind of this scenario to an extent, this would have played out very differently. But like, how cool is that? You just see how evil Burke is. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about Tenpenny. He cares about who's going to keep him safe. And he sees that this ghoul has now taken over the tower. He's obviously got some power. Okay, I'll rock with you for a bit. Now, you can just disarm the bomb, like I said earlier, with 25 explosives. And then you're given the key to the Megaton house. And Burke will leave. I don't think you actually see him leave. I think he just disappears. And then he just sends Talon and company mercs after. Now, you can kill Burke after talking to him with absolutely no penalty. And if you report Burke to Sims, Sims will take the pulse charge and confront Burke. Now, 9 times out of 10, Lucas Sims is going to die. If you do this out of order, he'll die. Even if he reaches the door and you find a way to make it where Burke doesn't shoot, he just leaves the door, you go out the door, and there's Lucas Sims' dead body. There's a few ways to negate it, but it's like incredibly hard. You can shoot Burke's hand and it'll make him drop his gun. You can shoot the gun out of his hand and it'll make him drop it. Or you can just kill Burke and it ends. Like as soon as you enter. Now, but if Lucas Sims is killed, you can go to his son Hardin Sims and you can still hand in the quest. You can also Black Widow. I brought this up earlier. You can also Black Widow your way into telling Mr. Burke that Megaton should be left alone. And then he promises to send for you. And he even sends love letters to Megaton for you, which again, I had no clue about. I learned a lot about this quest. This go around. They're just in Moriarty Saloon. You can go and pick them up. They're super neat. That's pretty much everything I have for the way the quests play out, the way the quests work. I'm going to go on to where I get all of my lore, which is fallout.fandom.com, and just read some of the fun facts and notes quick. So your rewards. In bottle caps, 500 if speech was successful at the start of it, 100 if accepted from Lucas Sims and the speech check was failed. You get the Megaton house key, the deed to the house, 300 XP, 200 karma if the bomb is disarmed. If Megaton is destroyed, you get 1,000 caps if you successfully pass a speech check, or only 500. The Tenpenny suite, the key for it, and the deed, 300 XP. So the same amount of XP. and a minus 1,000 karma, and regulators will start hunting you. Blowing up Megaton causes an extra video to show up in the game's ending if the player character has low karma. The video shows clips of the destruction of Megaton. The player character can go to Burke and decline his request, still leaving the option open. Turn him into Sims, proceed to accept Burke's quest, gaining the fusion pulse charge without giving it to Sims, and arm the bomb. After entering the bar, Sims will either confront Burke as usual, if Burke had entered by the time the player character arrives, or he will leave immediately to confront Burke outside, only to suddenly die, prompting the threat from Burke. After this is done, the player character can still gain access to the Tenpenny Tower under the invitation of Burke, but will have to steal nearby keys to access Tenpenny's suite and balcony. The detonator will be available for use with no sign of Burke, and Megaton can be destroyed for the only 1,000 karma and for only the negative 1,000 karma and no other compensation. Oh my god. That's taken a long way to do something very simple. It's possible to get both good karma and 100 cap reward for disarming Megaton's bomb. However, it must be done the first time you enter Megaton before Lucas Sims approaches you. That's incredibly hard. Immediately upon entering the town, run to the undetonated atomic bomb and ignore Sims' dialogue. Use some mentats if necessary to disarm the bomb. When it's disarmed, let Lucas Sims approach you and talk to you automatically like he normally would. Bring up that you disarmed the bomb without even talking to him. The game treats it as if you didn't want a reward, since you did it on your own accord, and you'll be rewarded with good karma. When he finally approaches you, he will not comment regarding your arrival, but only the disarming of the bomb, and will inform you that there is a reward for disarming it. He will then give you 100 caps and the deeds to the Megaton house. There's also, real quick, because I don't think I'm ever going to get a chance to talk about this again. If you're playing Fallout 3 for the first time, go to Moriarty Saloon. There is a way where you can get money from Moriarty, then go to Silver. I think her name is Silver, the prostitute that's ducking him, and you can exploit money out of her and then go back to him and exploit more money out of him. So but the beginning of the game, I believe it's 1,200 caps that you have, and it's awesome. If you blow up Megaton, Deputy Weld's head can be found in front of the ruins of Megaton, speaking his lines in a distorted voice. Ironically, his head will occasionally say that the bomb is perfectly safe. If you do not kill Moira before blowing up Megaton, she will be found wandering near where Deputy Weld is ghoulified. If you do kill Moira, her body will appear outside the ruins. Cool. Also, the strength bobblehead is in Lucas Sims' house. Do not forget that. If Lucas Sims gets killed by Mr. Burke or any other way and then disarmed the bomb afterwards, Three Dog will state that Lucas Sims cited the Lone Wanderer for disarming the bomb, even though he's dead. If you stand in front of Burke when he shoots Lucas Sims, the bullet goes through you because it's a scripted event. In Fallout 3, this is the only achievement or trophy that doesn't have the Vault Boy featured in its logo. That's neat. Despite not wearing protective dark glasses, Tenpenny and the Lone Wanderer aren't blinded by the atomic blast. Of course, it's a Videos James. So behind the scenes, the coordinates displayed on the remote detonator at Tenpenny Tower are -1, -7, are actually coordinates to the game cell in which contains the bomb. Oh wow, cool. That is the Power of Atom quest from Fallout 3, and that is lore.